Până la Revoluția Română, mii de cetățeni români treceau în mod ilegal frontiera iugoslavo-română.
Before the Romanian Revolution, thousands of Romanian citizens crossed illegally the border into Yugoslavia, making their way to freedom. They swam across the Danube River, the Karas, and the Nera rivers. They crossed dry land frontiers. Generally, they tried to escape through the south of Banat County, where Romanian villages still exist, a fact they counted on as potential help from the Romanian locals.
Și au fost ajutați de cetățenii români din Iugoslavia.
Frontier soldiers appeared after World War II, when the Border-crachers showed up, and others. Before we knew of no such thing, all of the Romanians who went to school in Romania used to cross without any problem. Chief of Military Court of Justice, Timișoara. Those who tried to cross the border were civilians. There were cases when soldiers tried, but mostly all were civilians. Article 245 of the Penal Code was then invoked, the crime of defection counting double, as illegal border crossing or as attempted border crossing. At that time, the sentence was 6 months to 3 years in prison, a rather severe offense, taken to undermine the state authority. Nikolai Jelish, retired Austrian citizen in Vienna, defected in 1970, passed through Czechoslovakia. Mihai Mick, dentist, Austrian citizen in Vienna, swam across the Danube at Devici in 1977. Amos Chita, music teacher, Austrian citizen in Vienna, illegally stayed in Italy in 1980. Willy Fritz, engineer, German citizen in Regensburg, crossed the border at Deta in 1981. Alexandru Chizer, worker, Austrian citizen in Vienna, illegal crossing on second attempt at Naides in 1982. Daniel Unguranu, technician, Austrian citizen in Vienna, crossed over at Nedleg in 1987. Mihai Drinovan, pastry cook, American citizen in New York, crossed the Danube in a boat at Moldova Nua in 1983. Herlambia Capitana, waiter, and daughter Sarasula, Austrian citizen in Vienna, crossed the border to Hungary in 1988. Otmar Funk, schoolteacher, German citizen in Regensburg, crossed the border at Krtici in 1989. Doru Briscan, shot dead at 19 on the frontier near Jimbolea in 1988.
Eu în România am avut o tentativă de trecere frauduloasă a frontierei.
When I first tried to get across, they caught me and sentenced me to 1 year, of which I served 6 months in Popaskopka prison. I defected as they still kept their eyes on me, and after that year in prison, and because of communism, and for the freedom I yearned.
Și am dorit mult, am dorit libertatea.
Eu nu puteam să trăiesc în
I couldn't live in a world where we say one thing and do another.
una spunem și alta facem.
Era o vârstă așa de 22, 25 de ani, 30.
We were 22, 25, perhaps 30. All wanted to escape from Ceausescu, either alive or dead, drowned or otherwise. Couldn't tell which. They came through the woods, starved. Sure, it was tough.
Am plecat 5 persoane din Reșița, că acolo locuiam.
There were 5 of us when we left from Rițița, where I lived, and came closer to the Serbian border.
În zona Comoriște, Grădinari.
In Comoratsti, Gordania area, we were caught. We were arrested, tied, and taken to their headquarters.
Ne-au dus la pichetul de grăniceri.
Spuneau poveste de la, mi se pare că era din Reșița, apropierea aceea.
My brother lived in Reșița. Our father was a shepherd. He had 200 sheep. But you know how people are at 19 or 20. He wanted freedom and to live in a different country.
Vreau libertate, să plece într-altă țară, așa era.
Grăinișerii normal că s-au purtat rău cu noi, ne-au bătut.
Sure, the border soldiers treated us badly. They beat us hard, even clubbed us.
Am luat bătaie, pot să spun, și cu coada de târnăcop de la ei.
M-am gândit, trebuie să fie un
I said to myself, there must be some place where I can develop free from having the Communist Party tell me what to do.
Nu trebuie să-mi zic, Partidul Comunist îmi zice ce trebuie să fac.
În perioada asta, e adevărat, s-a încercat să mă racoleze.
At that time, true, they tried to approach me. The Securitate, the militia, whatever, like to spy and tell on people. But I turned them down, saying I wasn't going back to Rishitsa, my home, but to my native village. Yet they wouldn't let it be. Even there, they kept close on my traces.
Șeful de post și milițienii de acolo de soarta mea.
Lishan Savir, 19, from Brishitsa, Nisad County, shot dead in the lungs at Kamlasol, Mik, in 1986.
Pe cale oficială ar fi fost iluzoriu să ies, pentru că...
Formally, I couldn't have gotten out. Two men from the Securitate, militia, all of them came, calling themselves Dan and Mircea. Fake names, as likely as not.
Și mi-a spus...
And said, we know you got your first round of papers. It was at the time of Party Congress, the 14th or maybe the 13th, and they expected new regulations. They said if you go out as a tourist, it'll be 20,000, and if it's good, it's 25,000, or the other way around. I don't remember which.
25.000 sau invers, nu mai rețin exact, dar pentru mine erau niște sume astronomice.
Când m-am hotărât, a durat un timp.
When I decided, it took a while, and said to myself, no matter how much it is, I must tell my parents that I really mean to leave.
Vreau să plec. Plecarea mea a costat în jur.
The sum was about 20 salaries in 1980-81, far too much for me, 20,000 lei.
Salarii și a fost o sumă pentru mine care n-am putut să o apreciez. A fost enormă.
Poliția mă cheamă, zice, bă, Daniele, comandantul era în Chițu.
So the colonel said, your father says you want to defect. I said, I didn't tell a soul. How come they know? Did I tie a rattle on me to tell? He said, if you're caught, I'll be the first to spit on you. And if you don't, well, you get my blessing.
Eu sunt primul care te scuip. Dar dacă ai trecut dincolo, eu sunt primul care te felicit.
I decided and said, I'm off. I won't stay here.
Am plecat la școală. M-am întors mai devreme și am trecut.
I left school, came home earlier, and crossed
I-a
over.
luat prin surprindere.
I think they didn't expect me to. In fact, they should have. It was any young man's dream, at least trying to cross over. Not necessary knowing his future. It was routine thinking in the area.
Dintre cei care împliniseră 18 ani era măcar de a încerca să treacă dincolo. Nu neapărat să știe de ce, unde merge, ce o să facă, dar era o anumită tradiție din zonă.
N-avea voie o perioadă de timp să se apropie de graniță, colegul meu.
My colleague had an interdiction to get close to the border for a while, so he was caught about that time and publicly sentenced in Irasti. 1 year, 6 months, plus what had been left from the first time.
În public și a dat 1 an și 6 luni, plus ce avea din urmă.
Am plecat împreună cu fiica mea.
We left after some research was made on the border area of the neighboring countries, just to make sure they wouldn't catch me and take me back.
Pentru a avea siguranța că nu voi fi prins și dat înapoi.
I took the map, a pair of binoculars, a compass, and started studying. He said, "Let's cross the Danube," and I said, "Not the Danube. I'd heard too much. They come over you in their boats and slice you up all gory-like." So I said, "Why let the fish eat me? Better to rot in the sun. They may still find your skull and know there'd once been a man." So it was settled for dry land, someplace down the Nera at Naidas. Bertz Pavel, 30, from Arad, shot dead in the Nape at Delta in 1986.
Treceau peste Dunăre.
They used to swim across the Danube. The army took aim and shot. Some continued on safely, but many never showed up again, either in Romania or in Yugoslavia. I couldn't tell for sure, but there was a story about those boats having an implement with cutting blades, and when they saw one swim, they passed him over and gored him. At least that's what they said.
S-a întâmplat ca soldații români să tragă în
Sometimes the Romanian soldiers opened fire on the fugitives, and the killings may have happened in Serbian land. In the summer of 1980, there was a case when I was on this border area. I heard about 2 young Romanians shot dead on Serbian land.
Am auzit de 2 tânări români care erau împușcați pe teritoriul Iugoslaviei.
Și spuneau că mulți au fost împușcați la frontiere.
They said many were killed on the border. Tragic, yes.
Da, era tragic, era foarte rău. Dar cred că
I believe today refugees are a lot better off. God bless them.
Să le dea Dumnezeu.
Povesteau băieții care încercau să treacă vama.
Some tried to pass right through the customs. If caught, many tried again and again and again.
Alții care au fost condamnați au încercat și de 2, de 3 ori să treacă și treceau. Care au fost condamnați.
And those who'd served time said they had a beating robot in a dark room, so you couldn't tell where the blows came from.
Camere au fost fără lumină și numai ne arunca în luntru și n-ai mai știut din care parte vine lovitura.
Unii au reușit să treacă frontiera și să ajungă mai departe. Nu mai știu cum.
Many meant to cross the frontier and go on. I met some of them in Munich. Others couldn't make it, being killed right there. Most by the Romanians, others by the Serbians. We couldn't tell which.
De sârbi noi nu știm. Erau înmormântați la fața locului acolo unde erau, fără niciun semn, fără nimic pe lume.
They used to be buried right there. No name left, no sign, nothing to tell that they were there even there. Viscariu is full of graves. Most were shot by the Romanian soldiers. Take this case we know of, Minda Gheorghe Marian. 2 men crossed over here, finding their way by compasses, by night. They might have got back unawares, so they got to a brick factory. The Serbian militia called them to halt. They threw themselves to the ground and one was hurt. Oh, dear mother, our people could hear him moan. Oh, dear mother. Budak Constantine, 26, from Constanța, shot in the thorax at Frontieristii in 1986.
Mulți dintre ei au fost refuzați de anumite ambasade unde ei s-au exprimat să plece.
Many were turned down by certain embassies where they went asking to immigrate. About 50%, maybe, some said.
Însă autoritățile iugoslave nu i-au trimis.
The Yugoslav authorities did not always send them back to Romania. Some of them could go on to Italy or even America.
Frontiera Iugoslaviei spre Italia sau spre Austria.
Era foarte puțin care îi întorcea înapoi.
Few of those who were sent back, maybe those who had served time already, the Serbs were happy to get $25 per day per person from the United Nations. So they kept the refugees for 4 or 5 days in prison, lodged them in a hotel.
Așa că ei erau 4-5 zile refugiații în închisoare și erau repartizați în hotel.
Din alte informații pe care le-am cules și de la alții, cam, să zic, 70% se dădeau înapoi.
From other sources I had, about 70% were sent back.
Criterii nu știu. Au fost persoane care
How they were made apart, I couldn't tell. Some had relatives in Germany, and yet were still sent back. And others who had no one were let free to leave. There was no telling.
Pe ce criterii făceau sârbii, autoritățile sărbești, selecția asta, preselecție? Nu știu.
În caz că ne prindea, merge povestea tuturor persoanelor care treceau pe partea cealaltă și erau prinși.
He who was caught and went back said that those caught in the border area were sent to Pozivaric prison, where from chances were 99% to be sent back to Romania.
Înapoi în România. Știam că dacă eram prinși în zona graniței, toate șansele era să fim dați înapoi.
So we were aware of that fact and meant to get as deep inside the country as possible and far away from the border.
Pe cineva zicea că întoarce înapoi dacă o făcut ceva, nu știu.
They said one was sent back if he had done something wrong, had problems in Romania. Tito got a carriage full of salt for every Romanian they caught, or so the story went.
Am auzit de români, iar ei nepostici.
Tăiau stratul de piele de la burtă. Era ce numit intestin, organe.
They used to skin open their belly, the guts split out. But really, there was nothing risky about it, just a scar left behind.
Din punct de vedere medical.
Something that often saved lives.
Rămânea doar o cicatrice. Lucru care pe mulți a salvat. Mergeau la spital, după care sau probabil...
They were sent to hospital, and perhaps out of pity, were sent back to Romania, but crossed on and on and on.
Doi tânări, adică o pereche, s-au otrăvit.
There was one case when a man and a woman preferred prison rather than go back to Romania, so they died in Verset Hospital.
Începea să se spună unora, mergeți înainte, pregătiți-vă lucrurile ca să mergeți la hotel.
Some were told, prepare your stuff, we're going to the hotel. Once there, life would be easier.
Și odată oamenii își făceau bagaje, își făceau...
They packed, then instead got handcuffed and were sent back.
Îi luau, li se puneau cătușe și erau transportați în România. Până și în cazul un om a fost împușcat.
One even got shot. Inside the camp there was a little court for walking exercise, and the fence was maybe 4 meters high.
Avea un gard aproximativ de 4-5 metri. Și persoana respectivă, auzind că va fi trimis în România.
So when the guy heard that he was going to be sent back, he passed right through the glass door and started climbing that fence.
În momentul ăla, un polițist l-a împușcat.
And of course, he got shot by a policeman right in the leg, sent to the hospital, then taken to Moravica on the border with Romania.
La spital. Iar de la spital a fost transportat la graniță cu România, la Moravica.
One said, you know you've got to die. Still, you want to know what for. Romania at that time just wasn't worth living in or dying for.
plecat la Jimbolia ca și de altă dată.
He went to Jimbolia like he used to buy spray and cigarettes. They had a market there, so he left on Saturday the 24th. Sunday, Monday went by, and then on the 27th he was taken to the county hospital in an emergency car.
They said he had tried to cross the border and jumped off the train. So it was a train casualty attempting illegal border crashing.
See his hand here, and in the picture his other hand. We took those pictures just in case we learn of something, to show how he was beaten. He was beaten awfully. See him here when Doru turned 18. And here in the coffin, looking 40 from the beating.
What kind of a train accident is this? His paper on his chest, his gold locket stolen from his neck, his shoelaces untied. Were they so naive they couldn't take the farce to its end?
Broken teeth. You can see in the picture he was so battered his cheek went inside his face altogether.
I was called to the municipal militia to write a declaration that the boy had been in a train accident. They told me to write, and I said I couldn't. I vibrate when I talk about it. My son, oh, but you can. You can, he said. Write as well as you can. I said, what shall I write? I can't even think straight. Well, you write what we tell you to.
Here you can see the black trowel-like in his hand and one in his leg. When my husband went to the forensic, Dr. Krishan, he said his death had been violent. His hands and feet had been tied to the bed.
2 more boys were there, so I asked at the morgue. I didn't say who I was, and I was told that they had been some train, locomotive accident. They didn't know where, in some station. Fugitives, as likely as not.
So I thought to myself, the boys must have beaten awfully, if there had been more of them, and couldn't escape. It must have been meant for them to die.